What if I told you the NHL's biggest bust didn't fail because he wasn't talented enough, but because he never wanted the spotlight in the first place? Alexandre Daigle was supposed to be the savior of an entire franchise. He was the most hyped hockey prospect in a generation, with skill, charisma, and media charm to match. But instead of becoming the next Gretzky or Lemieux, he became a cautionary tale, a tragic case of what happens when insane talent meets zero passion. And his story isn't just about wasted potential, it's about how fame, money, and pressure can destroy a player before they even get started. Let's rewind. In 1993, the Ottawa Senators were desperate. Their inaugural NHL season had been a disaster. 10 wins, 70 losses, 4 ties. They were the worst team in the league by a mile, and they needed a miracle. That miracle came in the form of a teenage phenom from Quebec, Alexandre Daigle. Daigle wasn't just good, he was electric. In the QMJHL, he racked up 247 points in just 119 games. Before that, he had 110 points in just 42 games with Laval in the Quebec AAA League. His junior resume was cartoonish. Scouts didn't just love him, they believed he could be the next Gretzky or Lemieux. Not just a star, a generational superstar. The Senators had the first overall pick in a stacked draft class that included Chris Pronger and Paul Kariya, and they didn't hesitate. Daigle was going to be the guy, the face of a brand new franchise. The city believed it, the media believed it, and Daigle, he believed it too. Daigle entered the NHL with the largest rookie contract ever at the time, $12.5 million over 5 years, a number so outrageous that the NHL had to introduce a rookie salary cap the following year to prevent it from ever happening again. And then came the quote that would haunt his legacy forever. When asked about the pressure of going first overall, Daigle shrugged and said, "I'm glad I got drafted first, because no one remembers who goes second anyway." That second pick, Chris Pronger, a future Hall of Famer and Stanley Cup champion. From day one, Daigle became a walking headline, a lightning rod. The talent was undeniable, but the ego, the paycheck, and the attention painted a target on his back. He wasn't just a rookie, he was a rookie millionaire who hadn't proven anything yet, and the NHL was watching closely. In his rookie season, Daigle posted 20 goals and 51 points. Not bad at all. In fact, Connor McDavid had 16 goals in his rookie year. But context is everything. The Senators were terrible. They finished 14-61-9, dead last in the league. Daigle had no support system, no veteran mentors, and no structure. He was a kid thrown into a leadership role on a team that couldn't stay competitive for more than 5 minutes. And yet, on the surface, it seemed like he was adjusting. The stats didn't scream bust. Not yet, but something felt off. There was no fire, no desperation. He glided more than he battled. He smiled more than he fought. And fans started to wonder, was this kid too soft for the NHL? The shortened 1994-95 season saw a modest improvement, 37 points in 47 games, but still nothing close to the expectations placed on him. Then came 1995-96, and the wheels came off. Daigle managed just 17 points in 50 games. The once hyped superstar was now a ghost on the ice. He looked disengaged, out of sync, and completely disinterested. Fans were angry, teammates were frustrated, and the front office was panicking. To make matters worse, Daigle's contract became a flashpoint in the locker room. His teammate Alexei Yashin, who was putting up far better numbers, demanded a similar deal. When the Senators refused, Yashin sat out the entire season in protest. Coaches were fired, Daigle was demoted to the 4th line, and the franchise that had once bet everything on him started looking for a way out. But Daigle wasn't just underperforming on the ice, he was creating chaos off it too. In September 1996, after a preseason game in Pittsburgh, the Senators were boarding a flight to Tampa. A flight attendant asked team staff to store their electronics, and Daigle, in a moment of stunning stupidity, joked, "Trevor, watch your bomb there." The flight attendant didn't laugh. Authorities were called, the plane was delayed, the cabin was searched, and Daigle was escorted off in handcuffs. The incident went public fast. The Senators fined him, and NHL fans began to see him not just as a bust, but a clown. By 1998, Ottawa had had enough. The Senators traded Daigle to Philadelphia in exchange for Vinny Prospal and Pat Falloon, a swap of underwhelming assets. From there, Daigle bounced around the NHL like a ghost. The Flyers sent him to Edmonton, who flipped him to Tampa Bay. Eventually, he landed with the New York Rangers, but by then it was clear, Daigle didn't care about hockey. Not really. He was more interested in being a celebrity. He moved to Los Angeles, dated Pamela Anderson, and tried to launch a film production company. He played beer league hockey with Marty McSorley and talked about finding himself. By 2000, at just 25 years old, Alexandre Daigle was out of the NHL. In 2002, something strange happened. Daigle returned. He claimed he'd fallen back in love with the game and convinced the Pittsburgh Penguins to give him another shot. It didn't last. He played 33 games and scored just 7 points. The same lack of urgency returned. He was released, but the Minnesota Wild, oddly enough, saw something worth reviving, and in 2003-04, Daigle posted a career-high 51 points. For a brief moment, it looked like he might finally fulfill a sliver of his promise. Then came the 2004-05 lockout. By the time the NHL resumed, the game had changed. The league was faster, hungrier. Players like Ilya Kovalchuk and Rick Nash adapted. Daigle didn't. He played one more partial season, scoring 28 points in 46 games. And that was it. The NHL moved on again. So what happened? Why did a player with such unbelievable skill, who was never seriously injured, never suspended, just vanish? Years later, Daigle gave an answer. He admitted that even during his junior career, he didn't feel the joy others did. Scoring 50 goals didn't make him feel alive. He was going through the motions. Hockey had become a job long before it ever became a passion, something he was supposed to love, not something he actually did. He later opened up about his battles with depression, a topic rarely discussed in the macho world of professional hockey at the time. He said he didn't even have the vocabulary back then to explain what he was feeling. The culture around him didn't leave room for vulnerability. If you weren't performing, you were a problem, and if you spoke up about mental health, you were soft. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't entitled, he was lost, trapped in a life that everyone else built for him, while he never had the space to question whether he wanted it in the first place. What's most haunting is how easily it all could have been missed, and how easily it still can be. Daigle was never the kind of player to explode in anger or spiral out of control. He just faded quietly, and no one stopped to ask why. Not his coaches, not his teammates, not the media. Everyone assumed he didn't care, but maybe the truth was even sadder. Maybe he didn't know how. Today, the NHL is once again placing impossible expectations on a teenage prodigy, Connor Bedard. Just like Daigle, Bedard is being hailed as the future of the league. Every goal, every mistake, every facial expression is broadcast and analyzed like gospel. It's the same script, just on an even bigger screen. And Daigle's story is a brutal reminder of what that pressure can do to a young mind. He was only 18 when the weight of a franchise was placed on his shoulders. Millions of dollars, national media attention, a losing team desperate for a savior, and behind the smiles and sound bites, he was quietly crumbling. He didn't have the tools, he didn't have the support, and no one made sure he was ready for any of it. Talent is never enough. Without emotional support, proper mentorship, and mental health resources, even the brightest young stars can fade. You can't expect a teenager to carry a city if no one's carrying them behind the scenes. The NHL has made progress. There are more systems in place now, but stories like Daigle's still echo through locker rooms today. Not every #1 pick dreams of greatness. Some are just trying to survive the expectations. So if there's one lesson to take from Daigle's rise and fall, it's this. Before building a team around a teenage star, make sure you've built a net to catch them when they fall. Because not every future legend is chasing a dream. Some are just running from a nightmare. Alexandre Daigle wasn't a villain, he wasn't a criminal, he wasn't broken, he just didn't want what everyone else wanted for him. In another life with the right help, maybe he could have led Ottawa to a Stanley Cup, maybe he could have become the icon they dreamed of, maybe his name would sit alongside Pronger and Kariya, not below them, but instead he'll be remembered as the face of unfulfilled potential, not because he didn't try hard enough, but because no one ever asked if he even wanted to be there.